restroom. Good morning. I call this meeting of the Pinellas County School Board on July 11th, 2023 to order. This morning's invocation will be given by Rabbi Philip Weintraub from Congregation B'nai, Israel. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Chair Laura Hine and the playing of the National Anthem. Please stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the National Anthem. Rabbi Weintraub, would you please share the invocation?
So just a week ago, we celebrated the birthday of our nation. And while we declared independence on July 4th, 1776, it was years before the Revolutionary War was won. We tried to unify with the Articles of Confederation before realizing we needed a constitution. Written in 1787, it wasn't until ratified for 2 more years. It opens, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." It wasn't perfect. It needed to be amended almost immediately with the Bill of Rights and continues to be recontextualized and re-understood from generation to generation. I learned that in public school. Participating in the IB program, I earned a year of credit at an elite private university. There I had amazing teachers just like my children have at the Midtown Academy. We also have an amazing principal there with Keisha Victor, who has truly transformed that school for the better. Every day, our Pinellas County faculty and staff work to educate and prepare each student for college, career, and life. And as a parent, I am grateful for that every single day. I'm grateful to them for their support. I'm grateful to you for your support of their work, ensuring every student in our district is welcome and educated, not prioritizing one faith or one perspective, but demonstrating truly living the multiplicity and diversity of our community, of every race and color, every sexuality, every faith, everything. I'm proud of this board, of each and every one of you that live your own values and set them aside when needed to work for the well-being of every student here. Let me share a prayer. May the one who we call by many names watch over you. May the Holy One support you in your worthy endeavors. May they help you in times of trouble and in times of blessing. May the Holy One help you support the students and teachers, the administrators, that they can learn and grow, that they can educate and be educated. May we all learn from our students and our teachers to live in a world where every voice is heard, where all are able to share peacefully and compassionately, kindly and lovingly. May we learn to speak respectfully, without anger or frustration, but understanding that all are trying to serve the needs of the next generation, putting their needs over our own. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Thank you. You may be seated. And thank you to Rabbi Weintraub for being here this morning. Thank you for the invocation. I would now like to introduce today's video. The PCS Ignite Arts Camp is an exciting 2-week summer camp experience for students entering in the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. The camp is for students currently enrolled in chorus, orchestra, band, theater, or dance who plan to continue their art studies in the 2023-2024 school year. Students from throughout our district work with master teachers to perform a variety of high-quality literature and choreography. Let's take a look.
Ignite Camp is a completely free 2-week camp for middle school students in Pinellas County that are enrolled in the arts. And within that camp, they are learning repertoire for a concert on the last day. This camp would not be possible without the referendum. We are able to hire staff, we are able to pay for the facilities, we are able to bus 3 buses that are completely full.
We said if we want this to be an experience that ignites something for kids, it has to be able to ignite something for all of our district. So referendum has really been transformative in its ability to allow more students to access the arts in general, and more specifically to access this camp.
This year is the highest number of middle school participation that we've ever had. We've got about 35 Pinellas County schools represented here at Ignite. I love the community that we've created here at Ignite Camp. We've got students that have come all 3 years of middle school and now come back as high schoolers because they just love being here.
When I am helping a kid and I can see them succeed, it kind of makes me feel like my heart is sparkling in a way, because just to see them shine, and yes, they may have been struggling, but even over a day, just helping them and breaking it down for them, you feel this moment of openness and success.
On the street. We choose to come here every summer because the kids are amazing and we love working with them.
This camp is amazing, and I came here because I did dance at Johns Hopkins, and I had so much fun throughout the year, and I didn't want to stop over the summer, so I came here to do more dance. So 7 days is very short of a time to put together a whole performance, but we have some amazing teachers in this dance camp, and we've really pulled it together.
It's hard because you only have 2 weeks to perfect it, and then you have to perform it in front of all the people here and their parents. Where it's sometimes when something is hard, you have to keep trying because it is kind of hard.
It's helping me grow because I'm able to get experience with more advanced pieces of music, and so that will help me for high school and possibly even college.
Oh, my kids love this camp. This is their favorite camp for the whole summer. He did it the 3 years while he was in middle school, and now he's come back to volunteer.
Well, I thought it was amazing because she almost went to another camp that was a private camp that cost a lot of money. And once we saw that this one and her teacher really promoted it, I thought it was amazing.
I think it makes it a better camp because there can be more diverse people so that you get the opportunity to just play music.
To have free access to something where you can learn and enhance what you already have inside, that's amazing. And I would highly recommend it to anyone who's interested.
Wow, that is fantastic. It's fantastic to see so many opportunities for our students in Pinellas County and all the amazing things that it does for them, inspiring them to continue studying, continue working hard at the things that they love. With that, moving forward, I'm going to present our Director of Strategic Communications, Mr. Sean Clark, will introduce our professional and community organizations here with us today.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Hendrick, and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. From Pinellas County Classroom Teachers Association, PCTA, Lee Bryant, President. Representing North Pinellas League of Women Voters, Debbie Entriken. From the Pinellas Arts of a Complete Education, Maria Antheloulis. No members from the media are in attendance.
Thank you so much. Mr. Hendrick, are there any recommended amendments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there is one recommended change. It was posted yesterday. There was an employee in item 7.3 that was incorrectly placed under the instructional personnel recommendations. It should have been under supporting services, so we've moved that, and it's been posted online.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hendrick. As board chair, I find good cause to amend the agenda as described by Superintendent Hendrick. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? I motion. I have a motion by Mrs. Long. Second. And a second by Mrs. Hine. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. It passes unanimously, 7-0. We will begin our special order agenda. This morning, item 4.1 is the recognition of Dev Shah for winning the Scribs National Spelling Bee. Congratulations. Yes. Board members, we're going to go down and greet our students. Mr. Hendrick, will you please introduce the next two items, actually. We also have item 4.2, the recognition of Elisa Nelson's fifth graders for winning second place at Odyssey of the Mind World Finals.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as the board comes down to the front, I want to note that the board does an annual recognition ceremony for students in our district who have won countywide and state and national competitions. And that ceremony is in May of each year. And because of the timing of these competitions, we were not able to include these students. And it would have been nice to include them there, but I think that their accomplishments stand out even above those ones that we recognized in May and are certainly worthy of individual standout recognitions today. So first, I'd like to call up Dev Shah, as was mentioned, and his dad, Mr. Shah, who is here, if you don't mind coming up to the front. And Dev, before you shake hands, Dev, if you'll just stay right here, and I'll embarrass you wholeheartedly, as is certainly deserved for your accomplishments. So Dev is a rising ninth grader here in Pinellas County Schools. He's just recently left Morgan Fitzgerald Middle School, and as the room knows, he on June 1st, 2023, won the National Scripps Howard Spelling Bee, becoming the first Florida winner in 2 decades. He became the champion by correctly spelling the word in the 15th round of the competition, the finals, Samophile. And he spelled it correctly, of course. He was one of 11 finalists aged 11 to 14 over the 3-day contest that was held in National Harbor, Maryland. Dev has participated in spelling bee competition since elementary school when he attended Ridgecrest. In 2019, he placed 51st in the National Spelling Bee. There was no bee in 2020, and that was when he was a 4th grader, by the way. And in 2021, he placed 76th in the competition. This year, as he got ready to participate in the national competition, he actually had to make a choice. He had qualified for the National Math Counts competition as well, and they were on the same day, and he chose the National Spelling Bee. I had a great chance to talk to Dev a little bit this morning because it was hard to catch him over the last month as he's been in 50 different national interviews and personal things, including his favorite, ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. That took precedent over plenty of morning news shows, visiting the White House, and everything in between. Maybe the only bad thing about winning this competition is it's cut into his tennis game, which he's an avid tennis fan, and his busy media schedule has cut that in, but he's looking forward to picking that back up in high school. Dev, we are so proud of you and the recognition that you've brought to Pinellas County Schools, your school in particular, but our entire district. I've seen you recognized at the City of Largo. I've seen proclamations from a number of organizations, and each and every one of those are definitely well-deserved. Also very thankful to you and your family who've offered to be an ambassador for Pinellas County Schools in academic competitions such as this to raise awareness and to continue that student experience that we've emphasized in our district this last year, and you've certainly brought great demonstration to. We have a medal for you and a certificate, which I'm going to give you, but I also want to read one other proclamation that came to us in your honor from United States Senator Marco Rubio. And he said, "Dear Dev, congratulations on becoming the first Floridian in over 20 years to win the Scripps National Spelling Bee competition. The countless hours you put forth to prepare for this competition speak highly of your academic commitment. The knowledge earned from your work in the spelling bee and years of study in school will assist you in your future service to the community and our nation. Please accept my best wishes to you on this significant achievement. I look forward to hearing about your continued good work as you set out to fulfill your own American dream. Sincerely, Senator Marco Rubio. Dev and Mr. Shaw, congratulations. Please come meet our board. And Dev and Mr. Shaw, if you'll pose right in the middle of the board here. And as pictures are taken, I want you to know that as you came in the building today, you met Dev's brother, who's featured as one of our students in the walkway as you come in. He's a graduate from Largo High School's IB program and is at Yale University. And so as you walk out today, maybe you'll see his picture. Great success for both he and his brother in our schools. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. And Mrs. Shaw, who couldn't be here today, for sharing your students with us and elevating Pinellas County Schools. Congratulations, Dev. And this is a certificate that goes with your medal, as well as the proclamation from the senator. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. For our second recognition, I'd like to call to the podium Dr. Kristen Gonzalez, the Area 1 Superintendent, who was involved in this journey of the Odyssey of the Mind all the way to Michigan and back, and like to acknowledge our students. And Dr. Gonzalez, please begin the presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Hendrick, and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the Alyssa Nelson Elementary School Odyssey of the Mind 5th grade team, who won second place at the Odyssey of the Mind World Finals in late May. Here today representing their team is Serafina Gribble, Gwyneth Harrington, Veronica Sandusky. And they're joined today by their teacher coach, Miss Tamara Bryant, and their assistant principal, Miss Alford. Team members that were not present today are Lindley Aldrich, Samira Saeed, Ashton Plummer, and Alexandra Wynn. This all-girl team traveled to East Lansing, Michigan to compete against teams from all over the globe, including South Korea and Switzerland. At the competition, students teamed up to identify challenges and think creatively to solve problems. Each round of the competition requires different problem-solving skills. According to Principal Hema Adia, each member of the team showed incredible growth in areas of teamwork, budgeting, time management, public speaking, and above all, humility and mutual respect. The Blazers earned the opportunity to compete in the World Championship after placing first at the state level. Congratulations to the Alyssa Nelson Blazers on their terrific performance at the Odyssey of Minds World Championship. Congratulations, ladies. Just like in Michigan.
Thank you to our students, our faculty sponsors, and the team at Eliza Nelson for making this possible this year. The parents that are here, thank you for pushing your children to compete in these. and more competitions coming up. And we thank you so much, and we're grateful that you could come in the middle of the summer and be honored today. Our board is going to come back up to the dais, and we'll continue with the rest of our meeting. But I want you to know, as they do, that we will continue to elevate these student experiences and competitions this year. Look for more of these for our students, and I'll pass it back to our chair, Mrs. Kane, for the remainder of the meeting.
Well, congratulations to all of our winners, state and world champs. I'm so proud of you, and we are so grateful, and we wish you all the best. You're going to do amazing things. Congratulations one more time. All right, I'm going to let them leave the room. And from this point, we are now going to move to the public comments portion of our agenda. Members of the public have 3 separate opportunities to address the board when we gather for business meeting. The first is public comment on agenda items. The second is at public hearings, most of which are policies, and the last is after our meeting when speakers may address the general business of the district. At each opportunity for public input, board members are here to listen to you. This is not a time for interaction, but the board will take your comments into consideration before it votes on agenda items. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in conducting our meetings. This includes refraining from clapping or making audible noises during or after a speaker's comments. We appreciate you assisting us in maintaining a civil and constructive environment. Lastly, please note that this meeting and all public comments will be broadcast live on the internet, and video will be publicly archived. Members of the public may always communicate with the board through our email address, board@pcsb.org, or by calling the board office at 727-588-6300. Thank you, Mrs. Hauk. Are there any speakers on agenda items?
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Hendrick, we have one speaker for agenda item 7.12, Mr. Mark Clutho.
Mark Clutho, Largo. This is a request for approval of purchasing items in accordance with bid policies and purchases or procedures. Purchases or procedures. Yeah, what's the difference? Haven't spoken to this one in a while. The strategic direction, effective and efficient use of resources. Well, I don't see how you could possibly be doing anything along those lines when last time I was here, you made that big mistake again. You're talking about conservation when the word is supposed to be efficiency. Here's the book from the NRC, which I don't put a whole lot of faith in this entity. And there are only a couple of you up there that were around when I've had this here. But let me read again, which tells how you're missing what says here. You have a strategic direction. Energy conservation, energy efficiency. Though often used interchangeably, energy conservation and energy efficiency are different concepts. Energy efficiency typically means deriving similar level of service by using less energy, while energy conservation simply indicates a reduction in energy consumption, which means you aren't getting something for using less energy. Now, I don't know if you understand what that statement means, but when you're talking about your state's strategic direction,
Thank you.
you don't know what you're doing.
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers for agenda items.
Thank you. With that, there's also no business under unfinished business, so we will move straight to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended? Or, I'm sorry, the consent agenda was not amended, so we have a motion by Mrs. Meyer.
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Cook. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The consent agenda passes unanimously, 7-0. Moving to non-consent, may I have a motion to approve item 8.1, which is the request approval of the sports medicine service agreement with Morton Plant Meese Healthcare for the 2023-2024 and 2024-2025 school years. I have a move for approval by Ms. Edmond and a second by Mrs. Long. Mr. Hendrick, could you please introduce the item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's that time of year in just a few weeks when our high school sports seasons will actually begin their practices. And we take great care to make sure our student athletes are taken care of. And part of that is our agreements with our trainers. And so today I want to highlight one of those agreements. We have several groups that we contract with to provide athletic training services, but all of them are important. And here to share this agreement for the next 2 years is Ashley Grimes, our K-12 health education specialist, who will give some of the details of this agreement. Ashley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, school board members, Superintendent Hendrick, and staff. I am happy to be here on behalf of the Pinellas County Schools Athletic Department to present the agreement for athletic training services provided by Baycare Health System Incorporated. This agreement will provide athletic training services to 13 of our high schools, in addition to the agreement already in place with All Florida Orthopedic to support our high schools. The long-standing partnership between Baycare and Pinellas County Schools has been vital to the health and well-being of our student athletes during both practice and competitions. The athletic trainers are licensed healthcare providers, experts in their fields, and uniquely trained to focus on injury prevention, assessment, management, treatment, and rehabilitation. Attending daily practices allows the athletic trainers to not only treat the medical needs of the athlete related to the sport, but to also better understand the student and their needs. And many times, athletic trainers are the first medical professionals on the scene after an injury and are critical to getting our student athletes back on the field and court. As our student athletes return soon to fall conditioning and practices, we continue to put health and safety supports in place, and our on-site trainers are critical to these efforts. As just one example, our trainers facilitate our coaching endorsement program to ensure that our incoming coaches are adequately prepared to meet the needs of our student athletes. We are looking forward to another year for our student athletes and athletic programs, and thank you for your consideration in the approval of the agreement for athletic training services.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We have some discussion from the board. Ms. Edmond, you have your light on.
Thank you, Mrs. Grimes. Would you please confirm if it's with Baycare or Morton Plant Meese Healthcare?
So it's Morton Plant, but Baycare is specifically who we work with. So the Morton Plant, the trainers come from there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you have any other questions or discussion from board members? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor to approve item 8.1, the approval of the sports medicine service agreement with Morton Plant Meese Healthcare, Inc. for 2023-2024 and the 2024-2025 school year. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion to approve item 8.1 carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Do we have any items by the superintendent to be introduced?
Yes, Madam Chair, just a few today. A few other winning students that we've had across the last month or so this summer, that some of which the board was able to recognize at that event in May, but have had their opportunity for further recognition from the organization. So a couple of those are at the Skills USA Championships competition, events that showcase the best career and technical education students in the nation, including those in high school and our own technical colleges. We had 2 students from Pinellas Technical College St. Petersburg campus won gold medals at the National Skills USA Championship in Kansas City. Christopher Hayes won a gold medal for plumbing, and Kate Wallace won a gold medal for early childhood education. And 2 of our high school students who recently graduated, James Barnett and Kenneth Cole Thornton from Dunedin High School, won the silver medal in the national competition in robotics and automation technology. So we're proud of those students and all of our career technical education students who competed in those programs. One of our Walker's Rising Stars students, Charlie Lane, was a nominee for the Jimmy Awards, a national high school theater competition, and recently performed in front of a live audience at Minskoff Theater in Manhattan, recognized for the top performing musical theater students in the country. And speaking of being in New York City, the board did recognize those students of the National Scholastic Art Competition, and those 15 students who won the gold medal were recently awarded those gold medals at Carnegie Hall in New York City, continuing that great tradition of excellence in the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards by our students. Board members, we know that just about 10 days ago, the state released state assessment scores for all of our schools, and we'll be talking more about that at an upcoming workshop. But suffice to say, we're very proud of the results of our students, much of which were already known by parents individually, but now collectively as schools. As a reminder, there are no school grades this summer, as there traditionally are, due to new assessments. There's benchmarking and state cut scores that will be set, and then those provisional school grades will be issued sometime this winter. But nonetheless, we'll provide a presentation to the board at an upcoming workshop. And last but not least, as I've done each meeting, a superintendent standout, somebody who's emphasizing those core values across our district, and one this summer is Mariana Leslie, apprenticeship and work-based learning specialist in our career technical education department. Mariana coordinates apprenticeships and summer internships for our students, and recently she was recognized by a teacher who's a high school teacher in communication technologies at Countryside High School, and she wrote that Mariana coordinated an externship for her this summer at a local t-shirt shop. She was able to learn those technologies in screen printing and design to help her students when she gets back to school this fall. And so she wanted to reach out and thank Mariana for her incredible help to get this opportunity. She was informative, helpful, and now she has the necessary knowledge and confidence to do the screen printing in class with her students, none of which would have been possible without our business partners and this externship program. So thank you, Mariana, and all of our employees for all they do each and every day.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kapersky, are there any items to be introduced from the attorney?
No items today, thank you.
No items. That's good news. With that, items introduced for the school board members. We have Ms. Meyer, you have your light on first, so I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to congratulate all of our students and teachers, our students who are taking AP classes and our teachers who are teaching AP classes. As an AP teacher myself, I know the hard work that goes into this by all of the students and all of the teachers, and the scores came out on July 5th. And I know we were all patiently awaiting those scores, and our students did phenomenal. So congratulations to everyone who's taking those very difficult classes.
Thank you. Mrs. Hine?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things I'd like to share with our team here and with our community. First, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Texel, Paula Texel, our Chief Human Resources Officer, and her team, and the great gains we've had in the last month in filling classroom vacancies. As of June 10th, we had 260 classroom vacancies, and as of yesterday, July 10th, we have 180. Now that averages about 1.3 vacancies per school. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if it's your child or your grandchild whose classroom doesn't have a teacher, you will definitely feel that impact. And so I guess what I want to share with our community is that teaching is a noble profession, and that Pinellas County Schools is an amazing place to work. So with the leadership of our superintendent, we are focused on building a climate and culture that is inspiring and focused on creative learning. And if you or any of your friends might want to consider being a teacher, this is a great time to join us. We will find the right fit for you. We will provide professional development for you for it to be a great experience. So I just wanted to say thank you. I know it takes a lot of work to recruit and retain and hire, and I really appreciate you and your team and all that work. And if there's anything I or we as a board can do to help continue to spread the word of Pinellas County Schools being an amazing place to work, please let us know. Second, I wanted to share some thoughts about a topic that I feel like has been present in many ways, and that's the amount of information in the world that approaches our youth. We made a unanimous decision as a board at our recent workshop to enter into a lawsuit against social media companies for the demonstrated harmful impact on our youth. So that's one avenue of information that approaches our children. It's not an avenue that schools regulate or provide, but it's a major avenue, and it impacts our children and it impacts our classroom and our youth. As a board, we've long had policies which we updated in the recent years where we regulate instructional and supplemental materials, and I think that that is an avenue of information that educators have long cared about and do regulate. But I'd like to put these things into context with the wider topic of information in youth that I just think is very powerful right now. And I think we are seeing it play out in arenas from education policy to our kitchen tables. And just ask if we as a board want to discuss information access and associated policies while our students are in our schools. We can either affirm the policies as they are, or maybe we want to update some of them. I sent a workshop request last week, but I understand you all just received it yesterday, so we don't have to vote on it today, but I did want to take the opportunity, because this is the one time we're together in a week's span of time, to share my thoughts on it. So my just for some context, my kind of macro to micro thinking on this larger topic of information youth is this, and you all have heard me say this a little bit before, but parenting and information access is a lot different today than it was a generation ago. My mother was worried about the influence of Madonna, and her mother was worried about Elvis, and I think any parent I know today would give their right arm to just have a radio knob to turn off. But information is everywhere. In a single day today, parents and youth travel a gauntlet of information. There are so many avenues of approach, as I call it, that information can reach our children. And in many of these avenues, it is unregulated, uninhibited content. And it stresses us out. And I think it stresses us out for good reason. We've seen damage to youth who then become young adults. We've seen the damage academically and emotionally. We just entered a lawsuit because of it. School is one place in time and a day where our youth receive information. A K-12 student spends on average 14% of their year in school. 14%. For those who want to know where I came up with that, it's an average of 6.5 hours a day, 180 days a year. And the other 86% of their time is outside of school. Now, some might say, well, you shouldn't count sleep. And I guess I would say a couple of things there. One, sleep does count. It matters how much sleep you get for health and well-being and achievement of your youth. But two, okay, if you take out the 8 hours of sleep, our K-12 youth spend about 20% of their year in school. So in that 14% or 20% that I would call our area of responsibility, those of us here, I would submit that there are three avenues of approach when it comes to information to our students. One is, I would say, is physical. It's our teachers, it's our curriculum, it's our classrooms, it's our libraries, which is highly regulated and has the professional oversight of people who care about and chose a profession in support of our youth. The second avenue is Pinellas County Schools issue devices or networks. And I know we do our very best in Keith's office and a number of people to make sure that we have the right firewalls, updates, network restrictions, cybersecurity, all of that. It certainly isn't foolproof, but I think we do the very best we can when we come to that avenue approach of information. And then I think the third avenue is personal devices that are brought into our schools. And I think personal devices are the largest, most unsecure avenue of information in our K-12 school day. In some cases, I know that these personal devices can be useful, though in most cases, I believe that they cause distraction in the learning environment and damage to our youth, as we've had presented to us. So it's the only avenue in our area of responsibility, in our 14%, that we cannot regulate. We do not have oversight of, save simply not having them at all. So I think our engagement in the lawsuit is engagement in consumer protection more broadly, and I support our engaging in that. I believe we can join with other agencies that are committed to youth health and development and work as a community to do more for consumer awareness and use of best practices, how we use these products throughout the other 86% of our days. I hope to participate in that work, but back to our 14%, our school day, the purpose of the workshop request is for us to feel confidently, for us each to be able to feel confidently that in those 6 to 7 hours a day, our students are in our schools, that the information that they're receiving in that part of the world, that we feel confidently about that, and we can either affirm or change those policies when we have that discussion. So again, I know you just received the request yesterday. I just wanted to share these thoughts verbally with you. Thank you. We don't have to vote on it now unless you want to, or we can talk about it at the next workshop as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Edmond?
Thank you, Mrs. Hines, for your research as well as sharing the information. I would just like to remind colleagues that there was a previous submittal of a workshop request at a school board meeting, and we were all informed that the process would be to have that discussion at the workshop.
Yes. Are there any other discussion from board members? No, I do want to second some of Mrs. Hines' comments on the matter, although I think we do need to discuss whether we want to move forward with that as a workshop item at our next workshop, so we can discuss that as we discussed. To Ms. Edmonds' point, we had put that formality in place, and we want to keep that as a board. But I do have to agree with some of the sentiment on this. I think there were some very valid and interesting points brought up in the presentation from the attorneys in that lawsuit that could be something we might want to discuss as a board during workshop in additional ways that we can protect our students from information that we don't feel is positive or healthy for them to have during the school day. And so I think there was some points I'd like to discuss when we get to that point as well. And I think they brought up some things that we haven't had the opportunity to discuss as a board as of yet in any of the time that I've been on the board anyway in the last 5 years. So I think that there's new developments in this kind of information wave, and I think that it'd be nice for us to continue to stay on top of the new information. And so at the next workshop, we can have that discussion and open it up for comments from the rest of the board, I guess. With that, is there any other board requests from Ms. Edmond?
I would just like to remind the public that the job fair for bus drivers and bus assistants will be held July 19th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Coachman Service Center. Additional information is available on the website. Thank you to Mr. Hedgewood for all of the work that he's doing, as well as the transportation department. Again, it would be greatly appreciated if we had all routes filled come the beginning of the school year. I would also like to say congratulations to Pinellas Technical College St. Pete campus for earning $900,000 in grants and $70,000 in scholarships for Pinellas Technical College's Unique Professionals, which will begin January 2024. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, Dr. Rodney, Ms. Colbreth, and team for submitting and securing the grant, as well as all that you do for supporting education. And again, I like to end my remarks with giving a plug for Pinellas Technical College. If you are looking for another career path or opportunity to learn a trade, please consider Pinellas Technical College, because it's true. Opportunity starts here at Pinellas Technical College. Thank you.
Seeing no further board requests. Ms. Woodford, could you please review any board requests that you heard?
Yes, I added that at the next workshop, we would discuss possibly adding a future workshop to discuss information controls and topics along that line.
Thank you so much. Is there any further business for this meeting? Seeing no lights and no heads shaking. Before we perform our board meeting evaluation, we will adjourn the meeting and move to the public participation. With that, this meeting is officially adjourned. We'll now move to the public comment on general business of the district, please note that the views and comments of the public speakers are their own and not endorsed nor sponsored by the school board or the district. We cannot ensure the accuracy of the statements made, but will review concerns that are raised and take appropriate action, which may include clarifications or the referral of speakers to the proper staff members for assistance. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in conducting our meetings. This includes refraining from clapping or making audible noises during or after a speaker's comments. We appreciate all of you in assisting us to maintain a civil and constructive environment. Additionally, we'd like you to please take note that although board members or Superintendent Hendrick may leave the dais briefly, there are speakers in our back room, and we will continue to be able to hear your comments throughout the duration of public comment. Mrs. Hauk, will you please introduce our speakers?
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Hendrick, we have 6 speakers. The first 2 are Nancy Velarde and Brant Robinson.
Good morning. As you know, I am a recently retired teacher of Pinellas. As you may not know, I was asked to continue my drop and continue to teach here in Pinellas, an offer that was very complimentary and was considered very seriously. I ultimately decided not to remain employed as a teacher here, and now I'm relieved with my decision. Despite my excellent qualifications, I would have been forced to relinquish my continuing contract and become an annual contract teacher, ever at the whim of my administrator. I would have taken a pay cut, not much, but a pay cut nonetheless. These stipulations are not required by the state, but are the choices made by our district. While the state was cruelly finding ways to eliminate the teacher's voice by creating staggering obstacles for their unions to surmount, they also did something nice for the educators. I'm not talking about the Teachers' Bill of Rights, which is a conglomeration of laws that were already in existence, mainly in the Teacher Authority Act, gathered and tweaked ever so slightly to appear as though it was a consolation prize for the constantly vilified educators and all they have tolerated for the past few years. I'm talking about the changes made to the drop system and other retirement benefits that are legitimate boons for the educators who would like to remain in the classroom. It was also passed as a partial remedy to the ever-increasing teacher shortage in this state. I realize these changes will cost the district $8.8 million, but please do not alleviate that financial burden through the salaries of your teachers who choose to stay, especially if administrators are not being treated the same way when they extend their drop. They've been willing to extend their drop for 3 years offered by this new law. Let them keep their hard-earned contract and allow them to remain at their present salary. If their position is not already taken by a transferring or entering employee, leave them in their current position. All of this is lawful, but more importantly, it is compassionate and just. After all, they're helping you out by continuing their work here, dedicated and professional as they have always been. Make sure that they know that you value that. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Hendrick and staff. I hope you'll nod with me when I say this. I hope each of you this summer has had some rest. Feel free to nod, rejuvenation, some fun. My name is Brant Robinson. As you know, I teach at Dunedin High School. The scary fact of the day is I'm about to start my 27th year as a teacher, 26 of them at Dunedin High School. I'm always honored and humbled to be in a room like this with the shared commitment that we all feel for public education. I just want to say thank you as always. Many people have heard me say many times that public school and all of our public schools are the foundation of our democracy. And I know for some that sounds like a cliche, but for me, it really is a part of my way of being. Again, I'm honored to be a public school teacher, especially here in Pinellas County. I know this will seem strange to say this before a school board, but I hope as we start another school year that we'll all continue our commitment, not just to our public schools, but to our public school teachers. Again, I know many of you on the board, and your commitment to public school teachers is without question. And I really appreciate that. But as you know, 2 years ago, I addressed this board to talk about something that I had only just heard about 6 months before. And I'm a guy that has a master's degree in African American history. I addressed you to talk about something called critical race theory. And I'm always going to be the kindest, most decent person in the room. But in the last 2 years, our public schools and our public school teachers have endured a blistering series of attacks and allegations about things from indoctrination to grooming to sexualizing our students, things that are truly disturbing. But what's also happened at the same time is that, as we know, too many of our public school teachers have left the profession. Sadly, that is something that has been going on long before. On average, almost half of all teachers don't make it through the 5th year of their career. So I hope as we start the school year, we'll all commit to at least one more thing that we already do, but let's just commit to every month. Let's check on our teachers. Let's openly check to make sure that we're modeling something called fair process, which is a foundational principle of restorative practice. And we believe in that philosophy here in the district. So if we can commit to regularly check on our teachers, I can't tell you what that feels like to get an email from Kevin or from any of you just checking to see how we're doing, not just as teachers, but again, as human beings. So thank you all for the opportunity to be here with you, and I hope you have a great start to the school year. Y'all be well.
The next two speakers are John Jackson and Mark Clutho.
Thank you very much. Good evening and afternoon as it is, and I appreciate your time. I'm probably here to be Debbie Downer, and don't mean to be, but it's important, I think, to understand that all of the students and all of the young people in Pinellas County, and when I say all, I'm not including parochial schools and whatnot, but come to the public schools for education. And generally, you guys and the teachers do a wonderful job. But we have a couple of programs that have been left over from 1920 and 1930 and 1940 and 1950 that no longer fit the life or the lifestyles or what's going on in America. We have programs in the high schools, and I'm going to pick on Northeast on 16th because that's the one I go by occasionally, that only affect, pardon me, 15 or 20 students in the whole school, and yet cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And another program that would affect maybe 30 or 40 students in the whole school and cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm talking about basketball and football. Ladies and gentlemen, having a basketball team or a football team in a high school today is almost meaningless. We now live in a time when TV has 10 channels of sports 24 hours a day. The high school is no longer the center of the little town and representing its core. And for the 15 students, that's a number, it could be 18 or 20, that play basketball in the high school, we are leaving 2,500 students that don't have a teacher, that don't have the money they need to continue the things they need to do. Just the cost of the lights at Northeast High School for 1 week would pay for a teacher for 6 months. So I'm asking the board to consider canceling all high school athletics. You've talked about money 3 times having to do with the athletics now already. The health, the doctors, the trainers, we've got coaches we pay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Lutho Largo. This is a lectern, not a podium. How many times do I have to say it? Here's the article. Moms for Stupidity draws GOP contenders. Governor Ron DeFleur of Florida receiving the Liberty Sword from Moms for Stupidity. Oh, isn't that nice? And it talks about the Moms for Stupidity quoting Adolf Hitler. How low can you go? Oh. Yeah. And here, Pinellas launches sustainability plan. It ends by saying improving resource efficiency of county facilities by conducting energy audits. Nothing about conservation. When will you learn? Earth's axis is shifting. We're the reason. What will happen next? Tuesday was Earth's hottest day ever. Climate change is quickening the pace for fires and heat. Scientists call wildfire smoke the new abnormal. Pinellas teachers challenge 2 school board members tied to Moms for Stupidity. Pair have harassed Dunedin teacher according to union grievance. It's a doggone shame, I'll tell you. You need to let the teachers teach. Do what's right for the students. Not doing anything wrong. Imparting knowledge, truth, reality. It's right there in front of you. Wake up.
The next 2 speakers are Lee Bryant and Angela Dubach.
Good morning, Chair Kane, members of the board, Superintendent Hendrick, and staff. My name is Lee Bryant. I am the president of the PCTA, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I look forward to a successful school year that is coming quicker than we think. As the PCTA president, I will make sure that our educators are cared for and supported so that they can take care of our priority, our students. In the public school system, we have the honor and privilege of accepting any and every child that walks through our doors. Unlike the private schools, we do not screen our students for ability to pay, thought, or conformity. Our students come from every possible background with incredible experiences and more burdens than can be imagined. Our job as public educators is to help our students become whole, capable, and complete human beings. To achieve that goal, we must make sure that our educators are supported in the classroom. Our educators also come from every possible background, carrying a wealth of experiences and many burdens themselves. They deserve a system that acknowledges their efforts with supportive administrators, school board members, strong unions, and a fair and just contract. Our governor is currently touring the country bragging about what a huge budget surplus Florida has. Yet our teacher pay has fallen to 48th in the nation. Florida has the 4th largest economy in America. If Florida were a sovereign nation, our economy would be 16th in the world. How can Florida not at least meet the national average for teacher pay? The answer is we can. but we won't. The state does not have the will to compensate us justly. As has been said in this room before, don't tell me what you value, show me your budget, and I'll tell you what you value. We expect our educators to uphold the highest standards possible. We also expect our educators to know and follow the contract and treat their coworkers with respect. We also expect our administrators to uphold their highest standards, to know and follow the contract and treat all school board employees with respect and kindness. During my 28 years in the district, I know that this has not always been the case. Superintendent Hendrick has some wonderful, dedicated employees working with him in the district offices and some terrific administrators in the schools. A few, however, do not live up to these lofty ideals. Our union, the PCTA, will not tolerate bullying from any administrator, any school board member, or anyone else without standing up for our members to our greatest ability. I would like to finish today with a quote from Helen Keller. "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much." Thank you.
Hi, good morning. It's been a while. Don't worry, I'm not going away. I'll continue to take the arrows for those who can't be here or are just afraid to speak up. I've been very busy in Tallahassee talking to and working with our legislators. Just got back from Philadelphia at our Moms for Liberty Summit. There's a lot of pissed off moms out there. Lots. Boy, we are over the target big time. We are literally in the battle of good versus evil. This isn't a Republicans versus Democrats. It's good versus evil. When we were there, we were spit at, threw eggs at us, rocks at us. They told us, "We hope that you die." And they told one mom carrying her child that they hope her child grows up trans and kills herself. Were some of these people from Pinellas County? I don't know, but I've certainly seen that type of encouragement and behavior online sometimes. But I've kept up with these meetings and the lies and the slander from the community, from some of the teachers, from some of the students about Moms for Liberty and about Stephanie and Dawn. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to tell some truths because it's been missing from some of these meetings. Truth, there is grooming and there is indoctrination going on in Pinellas County Schools. I saw it for myself. We are a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. But the party of socialism and liberation, Communist Party, was here speaking. Who's teaching students that communism is a good thing? Why? Why is that happening? And the books. No, Moms for Liberty is not banning books. Our haters say we banned To Kill a Mockingbird, Huck Finn, etc. That's all a lie. And Laura, I'm glad that you brought up about the damage of youth. I disagree. I don't think our libraries are regulated. I'm going to read, and if they are, it's not very well. And I volunteer to help. I'll help any media specialist. I'll help any teacher. I was told that they have to do it on their own, however. I'm going to read one of these books that we are asking to be moved to age appropriate. This book is Push. It's labeled adult content, but it's available to 14-year-olds and up. I don't fuck boys. I'm pregnant. My father fucked me, and he know it. She kicked me in the head when I'm pregnant. I think my daddy, he stink. I hate that white shit drip off his dick. Lick it. I hate it. But then I feel hot sauce, cha-cha-cha, feeling when he be fucking me. I get so confused. I hate him. You talk about appropriate? Anybody who is okay with this in public schools is a pervert groomer. This stuff needs to be moved to, it's labeled for adults, okay? So I'll help. How can I help? Call me. I've reached out to the principal, superintendent. I've reached out to everyone, you guys. I will help you. Take advantage of me, okay, please. Thank you.
Are there any more public speakers?
No, Madam Chair, there are no more speakers.
With that, thank you all for attending today's meeting, and that concludes our public speaking portion, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.